In this series about sex education, I've already talked about various topics, being it anatomy, biology, how sex works, how orgasm works, and some other basics. And today we will go in this field of sex and what is normal for sex. Or to be precise, we will go in an opposite direction. What is not normal for sex? What sexual behavior is not considered normal? That is the topic of today's video, paraphilia. What is paraphilia? What does it mean? How it is used in our life? And some other topics. Let's go. But obviously, before we begin, I have to tell you that this is Yury Experience, and here I share my various experiences about different topics. I currently do one video per week, I upload it on Monday, and if you will enjoy this video, please drop a like, you can also subscribe to the channel, you can also leave a comment about, for example, your thoughts on paraphilia. Let's begin. Obviously, we start with the definition. Here is an official definition, and with my own words, paraphilia is a behavior, sexual behavior that is not considered normal based on some norms in society. And depending on what we are talking about, we will be talking about different norms, the cultural norms, maybe what is considered empirically normal, what most people do, and however we define normal, if it is outside of that field, then it is paraphilia, then it is not normal. Which raises a great question: what is normal? Where is the border between normal and not normal? And again, depending on the country, depending on the culture, the answer will be completely different. Obviously, there are more like typical normal and not normal cases, and there's also some gray zone. Normal cases or for like sexual norm is sexual penetration, like classical vaginal penetration by a penis. Oral sex, anal sex, fingering, and some other things can be considered normal. It is direct interaction with sexual organs or like intimate organs. And everything that is not like this typical normal stuff is not normal. I will provide you a couple of examples in a moment, but overall, the border is not very clear. For example, in some countries, homosexual sex was defined as paraphilia and still is defined as paraphilia, whereas in other countries it is not a paraphilia anymore. So there's a high cultural influence on this definition. Examples of paraphilia cover various sexual interactions, arousal interactions between various people and not only people, more about that in a moment. And what is important here, it is for sexual purpose, it is for intimate purpose. It is important because some of these definitions also exist outside of the sexual world, and I will provide these examples too. One of the area of paraphilia, you have sex or sexual interaction with something that cannot give you consent for this interaction. We have sex or sexual interaction with animals, with children. You can also put in the same like space sexual interaction with dead bodies and sexual interaction with objects. Although they are different categories, but I put all of them here together. And already here you can see how different examples can be. Like zoophilia, sex or sexual interaction with animals, is pretty crazy stuff, and it is forbidden in a lot of countries, as well as sex with children. On the other hand, sex with objects is something that is very difficult like to prove or to check. Like, how do you check that some person is aroused by, I don't know, by a table? And it is also pretty moderate in comparison to like this whole idea with children and animals and dead bodies. Like, the feeling is different, and also like how culturally appropriate or not appropriate it is also very different. Then we have a field of cross-dressing, and there we have examples like role-play, where one of the people or many people dress in different clothes and play some roles. Or we have this transvestite idea that when one person clothes it themselves in the clothes of an opposite sex. It is important to say here that there is a difference between paraphilia and cross-dressing and just cross-dressing or just transvestite, because in paraphilia it is for sexual purpose. The person dresses themselves in a specific way to get aroused or to get another person aroused. Then we have some stuff that some people consider to be normal, like it is normal behavior for sexual behavior. For example, dominance and submissiveness. For some people, BDSM is completely normal sexual behavior. It is something that they do a lot in their sexual life, which is why Is it still considered paraphilia for them? Probably not. For society, probably yes, because they are not majority, they are not what we consider normal. And last example, one body part arousal. So like you have one specific body part of other person which arouses you a lot, like breasts or eyeball or maybe ass or maybe feet or whatnot. All of that is paraphilia. It is important to cover the difference between paraphilia and paraphilia disorder. These two things are different, and influence of them on your life is also different. Normal paraphilia is what we sometimes consider to be fetish or kink or whatnot. The difference of them or between these two words I will cover in an independent video. But what we consider fetish is in a lot of occasions it is a paraphilia. It becomes a disorder and in a lot of occasions a problem, and also in a lot of occasions it becomes not legal when your paraphilia hurts other people or hurts other living beings, or it hurts you or your social life or some part of your life like a lot. It is pretty similar to most of other disorders. It becomes a disorder when it becomes a problem for you or for the society. A lot of cases of paraphilia disorder we hear about when we hear about felons, about convicts, about rapists, for example, and other people who don't do good stuff. Paraphilia disorder is not something that is easy to catch. It's not like your sexual behavior or your sexual arousal is something that is easy to catch as long as you don't interact with a lot of people. For example, there is a paraphilia where you show your naked body to people somewhere, and you can do it in your bedroom or you can do it in the park. And normally the second option is less legal or not legal, and you will be charged with something for that. Still, it is important to emphasize that paraphilia is not a disorder, or at least is not always a disorder, and also paraphilia is not always illegal. There is also no clear way to find out whether you have paraphilia, and there are no clear reasons why people develop paraphilia. So it kinda life goes like that, sexual life goes like that. In the end, I want to cover treatments of paraphilia, and there is no like clear treatment of paraphilia. There is no magical pills that you can swallow and then you are normal sexual being. First, again, not each type of paraphilia has to be cured, and second, if it is a disorder, then there are a lot of psychological treatments that you can get. Normally, this treatment has as a target for you or for the person to get control of their life, to have their paraphilia under control, so they don't really like push them onto others without consent of other people. There are some types of medications that are used for treatment of some types of paraphilia, but they don't cure. It doesn't, your paraphilia will not disappear, it will become better. Also, I have to mention the completely radical way of treatment. It is chemical castration. That's basically when you take a pill with some hormonal treatment where you get castrated basically. You will not want to have sex afterwards. Your sexual desire will be very low. But this treatment is considered to be very radical and is used very rarely in specific cases where anything else didn't work and that person is very bad in their state, so then we will use it. In other cases it is not humane, it goes against our moral norms, so people don't do it normally. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it is the case, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a comment. Yeah, pretty much it. See you next Monday. Have a good week.